All right, first thing we're gonna do, and apparently there are 4 categories in competition barbecue, and one of them is the beef brisket, which I got here, and I got this one from the Big Warehouse Club. This is my trash can. Got this one from the Big Warehouse Club. This one is almost 18 pounds. Now, my buddy, Daryl, did one a few minutes ago that was 19 and a half pounds. And it was kind of funny because my little dog is here too, and that brisket weighed twice what my dog does. So that was kind of funny. So when you go to buy your brisket, if you go to the Big Warehouse Club, chances are you're going to find it like this. Now, I did cut open this edge just to let the liquid drain. That liquid is called purge, and it's actually an important part of the wet aging process. Not only will your product last longer from between the butcher and when you buy it, but it helps develop some of the flavors. The difference between wet aging and dry aging, with dry aging, you probably do get a slightly improved flavor over wet aging. I do have to give it that. However, you have a large amount of shrinkage and you have a lot of waste. So there's something about dry aging that just kind of makes my soul wither up a little bit. I can't do it because of the waste. So you'll find it cryovac. Just open it up, let the liquid drain off. It purge is what it's called. It looks like blood. It's not really blood. Get rid of that stuff. And you want to have clean work surface. And this is what you've got. Okay? So on your brisket, a couple things that you're going to want to look for. If you go to a commercial grocery store, you're going to find a brisket, rarely as a whole brisket. You're going to find it mainly as this section right here, which is the flat. On occasion, you'll find this portion as well, which is the point, but not very often. Now, we're going to have to do a little knife work to get this where we want it, because I noticed my brisket doesn't have near the fat and silver skin on the point end that the one Daryl did a few minutes ago did. So that's kind of in my favor. But you want to do some knife work. Oh, that was easy. We're going to do some knife work just to make sure our final product ends up. Look at that. I am magic. I am like a kitchen fairy. I don't even have to do knife work. We want our final product to be as high a quality as possible. And simply because we're dealing with meat, and there are some rules to doing this that you just can't deviate from, we're going to trim it in such a way that we get excellent results when we go out to the cooker out there. Okay, so we have some pretty significant sections that are full of fat. I'm just hauling this thing around. I'm going to try to show you, excuse me, try to show you as much as I can on camera. But if you're dealing with a knife and you're trimming meat, sometimes you don't have a whole lot of choice but to turn it towards you. So this kernel right here is a section of fat that's going to be pretty standard. Oh, I got my own tray. All right, so competition barbecue folks will trim a piece of meat and then toss all the scraps, and I can't do that. Nothing goes to waste in my kitchen. So when Daryl was trimming his a little while ago, I made him keep all his scraps over in this pan. So he just brought me, and this kind of proves my point. Let me show you something. Look at how much. Now we only paid what, $2.78 a pound for these briskets. It's an excellent price for beef. We also paid $2.78 for everything that's going right in that tray. So if there is the potential to use that, we're going to use it. That's my calories, my nutrients. I bought that, paid for it. Well, actually, Daryl bought that one. You like how I'm preaching on that? Barbecue folks, they bought the brisket. I'm doing the translation. So right here is where we're taking this first hunk, and I don't know if, can you see that? It's almost entirely fat all the way through. Is that showing up? I have a giant screen over here where it shows what I'm doing, but that's on a delay. So I look up, and it's what I was doing a few minutes ago. Anyway, this part is almost pure fat. Now, Daryl had a good point a little while ago. There's a couple things you're looking at when you're trimming. You want to get rid of the fat because, unlike pork or chicken or turkey or duck, beef fat will render, but primarily what happens on a piece of meat like this when you've got it on the grill is it's going to gel. You're going to have some that will drip off and render through, but for the most part, you're going to have that little funky knobby stuff that happens when beef fat hits the grill. Now we're going slow cooker with this. The interior fat, the marbling, a lot of that will render, as well as the collagen. That's excellent. It's exactly what we want. But we don't want big, glistening, gelid, oh, that's an awful word. That's a perfectly descriptive word, but doesn't it sound awful? Gelid pieces of beef fat on our lovely little brisket. And a brisket is a relatively lean piece of meat. There is some collagen through it. That's why we go low and slow with the brisket, to render that collagen through, keep the meat nice and tender and juicy. But we don't want it fatty. That's not nice at all. We want to be able to, well, Daryl was saying that if you've got a flat piece like this is what we're learning from the barbecue people. If you have a flat piece like this, then what you're able to do is once it's cooked, you have nice thick slices that you can deliver to the judges. All right, so for the home cook, we want to do the same thing.
Oh my goodness, it's Jan Charles at the Barbecue Superstars headquarters. How we doing, Jan?
I'm doing fine. I'm cooking in a kitchen that's not mine.
Well,
And you got more cameras than I've ever seen in my life.
now we were talking about using vinegar over the whole body of the
Yes.
tell us your take on that.
Actually, you're shooting ahead of us, Daryl. You're about 2 videos ahead, but we'll talk about it now. So we were talking about, in a couple weeks, if we're going to brine and do pastrami or corned beef. We've got, those are delicious foods. I think we all need to eat more of them. But we've got St. Patrick's Day coming up, and I thought, why don't we do our own corned beef, right? You were talking about how vinegar used raw on beef will denature the proteins in the meat, and it will change the texture and the flavor, right? You just took my knife.
I'm gonna
Sharpen my knife. Okay. Yeah, I like this. This is my other option for a knife.
I didn't mean it.
I don't think so. So I've got, normally I would use a fillet knife to do a lot of this. It would have a little more flexibility and a little more control, but that's okay. I'll deal with it. Okay, so vinegar. You don't normally want to use vinegar at the start of cooking with beef. However, if you're developing a brine, which essentially is a preservation method and a way to flavor meat, then you do have an element where you want a little bit of acidity, right? So yes, you can sometimes.
Okay.
All right. Now, if we're at home cooking, I'm going to borrow a step from you guys. If we're at home cooking, this side, this edge, and not that one. This one wasn't dipped in the boiling water. Daryl said that as a means of preservation and getting ready for the cryovac process, this is dipped in boiling water, which you can actually tell, and I didn't know that part. If you look, you can see the texture change right here and right here. And you trimmed your brisket down this side to lie flat, right?
Yes.
If I were doing this at home, I would not bother. Mainly because you're losing food, you're losing food, you're adding to waste. Now, because my brisket is going to be out there on the slow cooker next to the competition brisket, and apparently y'all have to have it look a certain way, I'm going to trim the edge, but also because this shows you something really, really well. Point, flat, okay? So here's the point, and here's the flat. Now, my friend Patty, who makes one of the best pot roasts in the world, she does a Yankee-style pot roast. Here's what you do if you're trimming a brisket to do a pot roast. You take your fillet knife or your paring knife or whatever you have, and you're going to come, can you see that, Daryl? Can you see where that line runs?
Yes.
All right, you're going to trim this way. You're going to leave some fat on, but not nearly all of that. You're going to take this entire section. This goes in the slow cooker with onion and cabbage and potato and turnip, salt, pepper, and garlic.
Whoa, okay.
You let that go for about 10 hours, and you will name your next child after Patty. It is the best stuff on the planet, just this whole section. And so again, to trim it, you come this way, and I would actually cut it down and then flip it over and trim that fat cap down, okay? But if we're going to slow cooker, we are after something affectionately known as burnt ends. And a lot of people think that you can't get that outside of a restaurant. However, I'm going to argue. I'm going to say we can, at least mimic part of that. So to get burnt ends, we were talking about the difference between burnt and scorched and how the World Health Organization has come out against quote unquote burned foods. And what they're referring to is the fact that smoking and grilling can lead to a very high level of carcinogen in your food. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to eat. You know, I'm never going to tell you what to eat. I'm going to tell you to eat what you like. But there is a difference between burned and what did I say a minute ago? Scorched? No.
No.
Seared? No.
Seared.
There's one more word.
Burnt and
There's one more word. I'll come up with it in a minute. One of them tastes good. The other one tastes like you burned it. You're working for what tastes good. So all I'm doing is getting rid of these chunky bits. And again, if you're trimming to do a pot roast or another application with a brisket that doesn't involve a barbecue, which just made Daryl pass out, about right here is where you're going to come. And what this is going to allow us to do, and I think I trimmed mine a little tighter than you did, but is to get some more of the fat off of it. I think it's funny, you got the great big brisket.
Mm-hmm.
I got the one that has almost no silver skin.
You did.
I did. There's almost nothing on here.
God, I should have been paying attention.
Hey, you picked them out. I'm just saying.
I did.
I'm taking the point end of this brisket down pretty tight. Always peel it back when you're trimming silver skin or fat or what have you. Trim it back so you can see. Can you see right there? Does that show?
Mm-hmm.
You want to see right there? That's as low as you want your knife to go. And actually, if you start angling your knife up a little bit away from the meat, you'll preserve more of the meat. Less of it will come away, and you'll have less discard. Now, because the brisket does not have the amount of silver skin on it that some other cuts do, it's a little trickier to trim, actually, without losing, the meat itself. If you go back and you look a couple weeks ago, I trimmed up an entire beef tenderloin. And a beef tenderloin has a lot of silver skin on it. It's got a significant amount. And it goes down the entire length of the muscle, which is kind of a pain, but the benefit is that particular trick of working your knife up towards like the ceiling works a little better for trimming without waste, okay? Now the burnt ends part of your brisket, there is more fat and less marbling, which means you don't have the collagen to render through to keep it as tender. So by getting rid of this fat cap, which I probably should have known but I never thought about, by getting rid of this fat cap, you let more exposure to the heat, which will allow for more caramelization, which is what you're after in order to capture burnt ends. See, sometimes those folks know what they're talking about. There we go. Trying to keep as much towards the camera as I can. I'm going to flip him over here in just a second and show you how very little silver skin or fat I had on the point when I turn him over. You get it down here, you can actually see the line. And Daryl, I'm not taking off quite as much fat as you did.
I noticed that you're actually leaving some.
Well,
Fat is flavor.
Fat is flavor, and here's the thing. You have an excellent competition style cooker out there that is wonderful if you're a home cook and you can get that kind of cooker. I highly recommend it. Is it Tucker cooker?
Yeah, Tucker cooker, yeah.
BBQ Superstars, it's on his website. Go get one. However, if you're like me or like my boys who have started barbecuing and grilling for themselves, you might have a little Weber grill sitting out there, right? Mm-hmm. So you really don't have the equipment to produce burnt ends, which means you need a little more protection to produce a high quality product. We want some, we want to try, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But we are leaving some more fat on here than Daryl did. If you do have that kind of cooker, go to BBQ Superstars and watch the video where he trimmed a competition brisket, and he trimmed it down to where it was naked. That brisket couldn't have walked down the street.
Man, that's looking pretty good, Jan.
I've done this once or twice. Just haven't done it your way. Now, I'm going to show a couple things for my home cooks, okay? At this point, you're going to be able to throw this on a grill, or, like I said, trim it this way, okay? And what you have are two excellent pot roasts. This one, you do slow cooker. You also do this one a slow cooker. This one's going to be fattier. So when you pull this out of the slow cooker, take all the juices that collected in the bottom, and you want to strain those off and skim the fat off the top. You don't have to do that with this one. That's the difference. So yeah, I didn't have all the...
Wow, man. You're just about, if you get some of that heavy, little heavy stuff, that's it.
I know, there wasn't a whole lot on here.
You know what?
Smaller knives.
Oh, wow.
See, now I like to do mine a little bit different than you did yours. So when I'm trimming this silver skin stuff, right, I like to find a place halfway down. You were coming from the edge down. I like to come halfway down. Keep my knife tilted up a little bit towards the ceiling.
No nick.
No nick. Ha ha.
God, women do everything better than men. God.
Well, now talk to me about the appearance, like on the barbecue circuit. You don't want those nicks.
No.
You get counted off for those?
Well, it's sliced up in slices, so as long as you put a good coat of rub on it so the top is covered with rub,
Yeah.
They won't actually be able to tell. But competition cooks that walk in and look and see a nicked up...
They're going to talk about you.
well, they're going to know you don't know what you're doing. Oh.
So one of the ways to do that, the grain of the meat comes this way. The membrane actually runs up. Can they see this?
Yeah.
All right, so insert the knife under there, and if you tilt that blade up and do just a little, boom, sawing motion, you're going to get more of it with fewer nicks. And let me tell you, if this is the first time you're doing it, if you're doing this the first time and you've got nicks, honey, I'm with you. You should have seen the first few I did. Some of this just is from practice. Actually, all of it is from practice. But by the time, I'd say what, 3? By the time you've done your third one, you'll know. And you know what? The first 2 that you do, if you nick them up, guess what that does to the flavor? Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it won't change nothing.
Nope. And I would much rather see a home cook take the time and effort to learn how to produce their product themselves. I would much rather see that and not worry about, oh, that doesn't look right, that doesn't whatever. Because the more you produce your own food, the higher quality your food is going to be. That's my preaching. Daryl did his preaching, that's my preaching. Get in there and do it yourself. Get your hands in it. It will be worth it.
Yeah, barbecue's an individual thing. Everybody does it their way.
Well,
and it's all good.
Here's the thing. I have a real problem. Like, for example, I produced a video on red beans and rice, and my red beans and rice are off the chart. We had red beans and rice in the Appalachian Mountains, right? But I had some folks from either Georgia or down in Louisiana. It's not authentic, and they just went to pieces over red beans and rice. Well, why is mine not authentic? My recipe was 4 generations old. And at the end of the day, it produced food that tasted great and my family loved, and it was good for them. Okay? So that's my thing. You have my permission, period, to do whatever you want in the kitchen if your food tastes the way you want it to taste. There. All right. So, see? Nice and clean.
Wow, beautiful.
Okay, isn't that nice? And I am going to do this, dear. I'm taking this bit off.
Man, mine took 30 minutes. Yours took 5 minutes.
Well, look, I have a bunch of kids. I got a big family.
You got to do it quick.
I got to get the food out there. All right, so I'm leaving some fat here. I'm trimming just down into the flat a bit. I'm not going crazy. I'm not going to take mine as deep as Daryl did. Just checking for big hunks. Okay? So all I did was run my knife down that way. Boom. Right? I think we're good to go. Now, Daryl, do me a favor. Mm-hmm. Come over here and take a fork, and let's talk. I'm going to wash my hands. Let's talk about what's in there.
Oh, wow.
So you've had several different kinds of commercial rubs, and then you use several different commercial products to make an injection, right? And I think that your stuff is probably incredible. I think your stuff is going to be delicious. However,
You're gonna do it with basic household.
we're going from what's in the pantry.
This is what people can buy. Just go down the street and buy it.
Well, you may have that stuff already. So it's garlic powder, onion powder, kosher salt, and black pepper. And if you look at the proportions, it's 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. Okay, I call that stuff SOS. Same old seasoning, or Save Our Supper. I've been using it for years, and that is the basis for almost every type of seasoning I do for meats. Okay. The cool thing is, from here, you can add variations to that exact same blend for barbecue or for Cajun or for what have you. It makes it simple for a home cook to produce excellent results and keep flavors clean and authentic without spending $1 million on commercial rubs and seasonings. Okay. So, equal parts onion powder, garlic powder, kosher salt, and black pepper. And I do use kosher salt. If you have table salt, use half of what I used. Which camera am I talking to? That one? Mm-hmm. Use half. Now, normally at my house, I would not bother injecting because it takes specialized equipment, right? Mm-hmm. And do you have these on your website? Can people get this there?
No, Tony Chatterin, if you go in and buy Tony Chatterin injection, you'll get one of those with every one.
But we didn't use Tony Chatterin injection. Okay, here's
another one. I bought 2 for a television show, and I've still got the 2.
All right, now this is one that involved a commercial product that Daryl had. What was the name of that product that you had?
Sweet Smoke Q.
Okay, Sweet Smoke Q. And then he used a little bit of Dale's, and a little bit of apple juice, and a little bit of liquid smoke. Okay, there we go. Here's what I'm going to tell you to do if you don't have these specialized barbecue products at your house. A little bit of beef base. You can buy it in the regular grocery store. Knorr's makes an excellent product. Hit that, use about a cup. Hit that with a couple of shots of Worcestershire sauce, a few drops of liquid smoke, and about half a cup of apple juice. You are good to go. If you want to add some Dale's, just a little bit of Dale's on top, that's incredible for flavor, but you don't have to. And matter of fact, for the home cook, as far as the injecting goes, I'm going to say it's wonderful. You will have an excellent product, but don't feel like you have to run out and buy specialized equipment. Only reason I'm doing it is because it was already sitting here in front of me. Okay. Plus, I'm going to show you how to do it, how to actually do it. Because that is one scary looking thing.
It is.
You want to see this thing he's got in the other bar? He's got a barbecue room. It's got like 19 needles on it. It looks like you're going to take part in the Spanish Inquisition is what it looks like. Yeah, look at that thing.
Child's power injector. You can buy it on Barbecue Superstar. Boom, bang, boom, bang, boom. Next thing you know, it's all over.
That thing's got a pump on it, like you go out and you spray your flowers in the yard. It's awesome. All right, so again, the striations of the meat go this way, okay? And you want to, and Daryl was talking earlier on his video, there's arguments about going with the grain or against the grain. I'm going with the grain, and I'm keeping it really simple. Because we've got flavor happening in this thing 1,000 ways to Sunday. Now, when you're injecting, and this is something I've noticed.
Good Lord, you're actually pulling the... It's like you're doing it so pro you can't even tell you're working that.
Well, there's 2 ways to do it. Go look at the way Daryl did it.
How many kids do you have?
I have 8. So if you inject it, you go and it goes everywhere. And I'm wearing a lot of marinade from what Daryl did earlier.
I know.
Watch this though, guys. Let me show you a trick. Because remember, we're going with the grain on this. All right, if you put it in there and you're going pretty deep, put your hand on top here and use your other hand to slowly inject. You can feel with your fingers that meat plumping up under there. See? You can tell. And of course you're going to lose a little bit as you pull that needle out. But if you use your hand to feel, you can tell how much is in there. You can tell when you're about to make a mistake. When you're about to get a shower. Actually, you know what though? If you're going to smell like something, there's a lot worse things you could smell like than a really good barbecue injection. You know what? I've thought for years if somebody was going to make, if I could have my own line of cologne, you know what I want? I want roasted garlic, and I want rosemary, finally got one. I think that's some of the fine. And I did actually buy my daughter some cologne for Christmas. And the scent was paperback book. And it smells like paperback books. All right, so now I'm getting messy. You know what? That doesn't want to go in there. I've hit cartilage, not cartilage.
Fat.
Yep, I've got a fat nodule. You can still watch it, and you can actually see the meat plump up as you're injecting. And if you get too much resistance, chances are you've hit a little bit of fat, you've hit one of those lumps in there. Because here's the thing about beef, or chicken, or turkey, or whatever. As you work with it, and as you learn how to do the cut work and the knife work yourself, you'll realize that there's, of course, every animal is built the same way, but because it's actually an animal, they're not exactly the same. You're going to have differences all over the place. All right, so I think that's about all we're going to do for the injection. And I'm getting both the flat and the point. That's a good measure because I have it. Can you see that? Can you see that plump up like that?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Man, you did a good job.
We were also talking a few minutes ago about how when you do have an injection, if you choose to use it, it's almost like you're brining the meat from the inside out. And if y'all have watched any of my videos, you know I am a huge aficionado of brines. I think for the home cook, it's one of those things that can take you from being a really good cook to an incredible cook. So with an injection, I normally don't bother, but I do have to say, and this is one of the things I've kind of picked up this weekend, and I may get me an injector on the way home. You are using the salt that is in the injection liquid to almost brine from the inside out. Salt is one of those things that will help open up the cells, each individual cell, and the salt will enter into each cell in the muscle fiber, and it will take the other flavors with it. It also prevents the meat from drying out. So you've kind of got a win-win. So injection is one of those things that, from the most part, as a home cook and I got kids hungry and I'm in a hurry, I may not mess with. But if I am going to barbecue or produce something that I'm going to feed to my friends, I might take the time to do it for special occasions. I think that, again, it's one of those things that's going to turn you from an excellent barbecuer, backyard barbecuer, to somebody that's got something kind of special going on. All right, we're taking this stuff and we're just rubbing it everywhere. Now, Daryl used 3 different kinds of rub, but I read the ingredients and I noticed that for the most part, salt, pepper, garlic, onion, okay? So it's the same stuff that we've got here. We just don't have to, we don't have to have a specialty product. Also, don't push too far down on it. Don't push too hard. You want to rub it on so it actually sticks. But if you push too hard, you're going to squish all your marinade out. All that injection is going to pop right back out. Now, what was it you said? Each piece of meat has 6 sides?
6 sides, yeah.
6 sides. And you got all the edges. You've got the top and the bottom. And you want to go everywhere. That's heavy. I almost didn't make enough rub either. All right, hang on. I'm not going to have a naked piece of meat, so hang on. I'm going to wash my hand real quick so I can dose him up again.
Okay, Jane Charles is about halfway done.
Halfway? I'm almost there.
She's almost there. She's actually rubbing her rubs, and I've always been against that. But
You've always been against what?
Actually rubbing your rub.
Why are you against rubbing the rub?
To be honest with you, you should, and I'm wrong, and I admit it. Because the way that rub just stuck onto that brisket was very incredible.
Well, a lot of meat, sometimes you want to get a crust on a meat, so you want a dry meat, right? But we've just spent all that time marinating, so we're going to have a moist surface no matter what happens. We're not going to crust that way. What we can do is actually pat it down. And I didn't rub hard,
No, you just barely.
Yeah, this is the same stuff, y'all, that I used on the when I mixed it in the bowl. Mm-hmm. Garlic powder, onion powder, pepper, and kosher salt. I just didn't mix up enough, so I'm giving it a quick sprinkle of all those ingredients. And see, Daryl, I guess that's actually a good point. We're not sticking like we did we? So what did I use? Black pepper. We're not sticking as we did, mainly because I didn't pat it on there. can't quite rub it the same way because the ingredients weren't mixed, it won't be even. So I guess you could take that as, don't do what I just did. Make enough rub to begin with. And then if you have some extra, throw it on your chicken the next night.
Well, this is a home style cook.
Well, that part's true. I don't want anybody to think that, oh, there's only one right way to do it. You know, it's one of the fun things about food is how many ways can we make something happen. And there's always going to be a preferred way. I almost never use it.
Make a shout out to Michelle.
Hey, Michelle. I need to come up there and see you. We need to make sure she's feeling better. All right, here's the last thing that I'm going to be doing. This is a trick. This is not the kind of paprika that's going to bring a huge amount of flavor all by itself. If you want to go find a good Hungarian paprika, or if you want to find a good smoked paprika, you can tear that up. This, however, is mainly just for color. Remember, we're borrowing some tricks. I don't have to have my food be as all pretty perfect as the competition guys, but I want my food to look good because pretty food is the first step for it tasting good. And this paprika is going to give it some of that color that we associate with excellent barbecue, right? I'm about to take the top off that thing and just sprinkle.
If you go to bbqsuperstar.com, we're live on live stream. And if you go to Jan Charles YouTube channel, we're live on there.
All right. Here, uh-oh. There. I don't wear gloves in the kitchen. I just don't. I have little bitty weird hands. If I wore gloves, the ½ inch would be hanging off the tips of my fingers and I would be slicing myself left and right. But I'm very, very careful about my work surfaces and my hands and everything else we're doing. All right, Daryl.
Looking good.
I think we're ready to go outside with it.
I'm calling that a wrap.
All right, how about we do some cleanup and head out to the cooker?
We are headed out to the Tucker cooker. We'll be back and then we'll do competition Boston butt.
There
we'll
we
be
go.
here all day. Say hey, Jan.
Hi. I'm gonna wash my hands.
Now, folks, we're live on the live stream for you live stream viewers and for you YouTube viewers. We won't be taking it down. We'll be right back. Keep going. If you have any questions, you can call us at 864-621-4958.
Can they drop a comment in the YouTube box?
Yes, they can drop a comment also.
Well, we will answer those.
Okay, we'll be right back in just a minute.
I'm gonna make you carry that.
Uh-oh. Okay. Man, you did a good job. That sure was a lot easier than what I did.
Well, but nobody's gonna be judging mine or handing me a ribbon.
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
Sure is.
It's relatively easy to produce excellent food to feed your family. As soon as you start getting judged on it, that is a game changer.
Yeah, now we've got 35 steps we gotta do.
Right. And I want to eliminate those because I want people to actually do this at home, not just watch the videos.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Bring this camera, we'll go out there and put this one on.
All right. Buddy, you coming? Come on, buddy. Yeah. You're in a cord. Whew. It's hot over here. All right, so this is the cooker. I don't have one. I wish I did. This is a Tucker cooker. And we've got it loaded up with a nice heavy bit of charcoal over here. We've got the competition brisket right here, which has been on for what, 30 minutes? Okay. This is our home style brisket, which is for the home cook. I'm going to put it right here. We're going to have a little less heat, but that's okay because I'm not going to have to micromanage as much as the one that's right over here on top of the heat, okay? When you're doing this at home, my recommendation is, if you're not going to sit out here with it nonstop, less heat is better. Give yourself more time. You'll render better, your results will be better, and you're not going to burn it, Okay, so low and slow, that's our key. I got the small one. Oh my gosh.
That thing weighs about 20 pounds.
I got the little one.
Still heavy.
All right, now look over here. This is kind of cool. We had nearly the same trim. You can see there's some differences. We had nearly the same trim, and I didn't worry so much about squaring up my edges and making it all even. But if you're at home and you're doing something like this and you want to mimic the flavors and the texture and the character of competition style barbecue, you're gonna go a long way down that road. And everybody in the world's gonna be saying, "Oh, what'd you do?" And you don't have to tell them. All right, what are we doing next?
That's good. Boss and boss.
Okay. Close him up. We're at 250? I like 250. Yeah, I like 250. So this is the home cook or, oh, don't drop that.
Okay, the briskets are in. We got jammed brisket right here.
I'm washing a knife.
Whoa, we're gonna bust this thing open to see what we got right here.
Got a little late. We both got kind of lazy.
Yeah, well, we've had a big day of broadcasting. We've done about 8-10 hours.
All right.
So this right here.
So Daryl was telling me that there's something out there called a Cambro.
Mm-hmm. Cambro, C-A-M-B-R-O. It's a
Which is actually just a box.
food holding device.
Yeah. And you use it so that you got a place where your meat can rest.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him,
Carryover cookie.
why don't you call it resting? And he said he didn't. Anyway, Cambro apparently is just a designated spot.
Open the door and get a full.
Wow. No.
Okay.
Tongs. It's a designated area in which you can conduct resting, which I think that's kind of funny. Oh, look at that.
Wow.
Okay, I was going to pull it off of there and slice it, but it's going to fall apart on me. So, I apparently wouldn't do so great making a competition box where you do your slices.
Mm-hmm.
And don't you have to lay them out in a certain order and they have to be a certain thickness and the whole 9 yards?
Absolutely.
Oh, but y'all, this is so tender. Look at my smoke ring. Now, if you're doing a competition box, what is it you're well, I'll let you show that in your video. We're not worrying about it too much in this one. We're slicing this up. And I'm trying not to cut my foil too much.
Yeah, look at the smoke ring on there.
I know, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Sure is.
Can you get a close-up on it?
Yeah.
So I'm not doing mine all competition pretty. What I'm going to do is show you what I'm going to do right here. If I were at home, I'd go ahead and slice all that up. But here's my real point. Here's what I'm really after. So we've got the sauces that we made earlier. Mm-hmm. And I made a Memphis style sticky and I made a Carolina style with the vinegar. Mm-hmm. I gotta say, my favorite is Carolina style, especially with beef brisket. Mm-hmm. We have a couple of hound dogs at our feet. I made the mistake of giving them each a little nub. When Daryl trimmed his, he had a couple extra rib bones. There he goes. We had a couple extra rib bones that we used. Just threw them on the grill, brought them in, let them cool down. Why isn't that coming out of there? All right, I thought I was being cute putting it in the squirt bottle. I wasn't cute.
It's too thick. It froze up in it.
Yep. See, I got
all the way down there.
got ketchup up in there. No, we'll try it. So it really is easier if you've got some control. Nope, not coming out of there. Say, boo, hold on a minute. Anyway, I made the mistake of letting them cool down, and I gave each one of them a little rib bone a minute ago. And there is nothing worse than a naggy hound dog, and that's exactly what we've got going on here. All right. Oh, look at that. Look how they just... Oh, yeah.
That's a G and Charles, hell yeah.
Okay, that's exactly what I wanted. Because it's rich. It's got faint hint of sweet in the background, but not so much. You've got that nice fiery firewater, the Carolina style barbecue sauce on top. You've got the char. It's rich. It's tender. It tastes like beef. And that's all for me. All right. We did good on that one, Daryl. All right, so we're going to cut on over and let Daryl show you how to do it. If you're doing a competition style, I may just sit in the background and eat this.
Man, it's good.
I bet I beat you. Yours can't be better than mine.
It's really good.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what yours looks like. Man. That is good. You just eat it with your fingers, no sauce? You're not supposed to show me taking bites like that. Oh, I got crusty bits. Oh! Yeah, I do get crusty bits. I'm excited. Boudin, hold on, honey. You've had all I'm going to let you have tonight. Don't get excited. I wish I had some real butter and some cheap hamburger buns. You could grill those hamburger buns and put this on there. With a couple of pickles. Am I still shooting? Do you still have me on?
Yeah, you're online.
Sorry, YouTube. Can you turn me off so I can eat and not look like such a pig?
Tell you what, scoot over and I'll go ahead and do mine.
Alright. Listen, you've had cookies all day. Ma'am. Not a whole lot can make you feel worse than eating barbecue with hound dog faces staring at you.
One barbecue sauce that can be used on brisket, and that's all raised.
Up here. Mine's pretty good.
I'm trying to find it.
I'm telling them that nothing will make you feel more guilty than hound dog faces staring at you when you're eating barbecue.
Yeah. Man, that's good. You really did a good job. That salt and pepper combination, garlic and onion, really worked out. Big time.
It's an incredible flavor for about anything you want to cook. It's just so basic. And it really enhances what you're cooking instead of covering it up. A lot of spices will just take over. But not that one. Alright, now show me what you're doing. I'm gonna go turn your football game down.
Yeah, turn it off.